Welcome back to Wavecast, the official podcast of the Marine Institute of Memorial University. In today's very exciting episode, the new co-host Kerri and I have a sit-down chat with Megan Carmen, a master's student here at the Marine Institute, about some of the tips and tricks that we have for new undergrad and graduate students starting this year.
Today, we have a student panel, which is basically just consisted of myself and Eugenie, the two hosts, and we have a guest, Megan Carmen.
Woo! We did that on the last episode, and
That's
I think,
so cool.
yeah, I think
It's pretty
nice.
cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
If you have a joke, we also have a track for that. It goes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to try and think of a joke.
Megan, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Heck yeah. Okay. I'm Megan. I am finishing up my Master's of Science in Fisheries Science and Technology here at MI. Originally, I'm from the U.S. I'm from Ohio, on Lake Erie, like just south of Windsor, Ontario, for geographic reference.
Thank you for the reference.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and I am doing my master's on cod. I'm looking at cod fecundity with Sherry Lynn Rowe as my supervisor.
And you're just about done.
Yeah.
You're in you can see the final, what is it? The light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, yeah, I can. I should be done by December, all things going well.
Mhm.
It's very exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's very exciting, which means you have tons of things to share with us about your experience as a
Oh,
grad
man.
student. And also we're going to talk about experience also for new incoming undergrads as well. So we're going to focus it also for them as well. How many times did I just say as well? There's a lot. I think I was like 3 times
It was a lot.
as well.
So we want this to more just be like a general discussion. We do have some points also from administration
Mhm.
and like accessibility services that we'll be kind of throwing out throughout this to hopefully just give a little bit more information for whoever's listening. I want to start off with kind of why did you really choose MI?
Oh, that's a good question. So I chose MI mostly because of my supervisor. So I feel like in fisheries science master's programs and a lot of biology master's programs in general, the way that you find your program is a little bit backwards from a lot of other programs. So I had found some publications that I was really interested in the research of. And one of those was by my supervisor. So I ended up reaching out to her on email and talking to her a little bit about what she actively studies and what kind of projects she might have. And we really connected and kind of designed my project entirely from the concept that the two of us had, which was really fun. And it ended up not panning out. I switched projects halfway through my master's, but it was still a really good experience. And I chose MI because she was here. And also because Newfoundland sounded really cool. And it is really cool. I'm really glad that I ended up here.
I also think if you study Atlantic cod, you've come to the right place.
Exactly. Yeah, it ended up working out really well.
Yeah, and I think that's what you mentioned about, you chose your supervisor is something that's like very true, especially for me too. Like I had an undergraduate supervisor that like I didn't really see eye to eye with, and I knew going into my master's when I was trying to find something to study that it was really about picking your supervisor, not necessarily picking the program, because if you can get along with whoever's supervising you, if you can kind of trust them and joke with them, that'll make your experience 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that your first project didn't really work out super well.
Yeah.
How did you kind of deal with that experience in that you had a lot of energy invested? How long were you working on that project, first of all, for?
Good question. So I actually started on that project probably about 6 months before I actually came to start my master's.
Oh, wow.
Just planning it and figuring it out because it was something that we had devised together. And also I was waiting for like official acceptance and all of those, moving into the country kind of things. So all in all, I probably had about a year and change put into that project. But it ended up not panning out for reasons that were like completely outside of our control. It was more so like it would have been really difficult to achieve in a timely manner to complete in a master's program. And working with all of the parties involved would have been difficult to organize. So we ended up switching, but what was your original question? How did I deal with that?
Yeah, how did you deal with like just the stress and also like having to just you put so much time
Jump
into
ship.
something, and now you're
Yeah.
like, all right, we got to switch and find something else that's like interesting and worth like investing time into.
Yeah, I won't lie, it was really frustrating to get that far and to feel like I had spent that much time doing nothing, especially because the first year of our program is so heavily focused on classes. And I had spent all my time in those classes on a different project. And so it kind of felt like everything I had learned was something that I hadn't ended up coming out of the program with. But Sherilyn has been really great, like letting me take control and steering me in directions that I needed to go, which has been really helpful. So she kind of suggested a list of new projects and let me pick. And then we kind of designed from there again to make a project that would be completable in a year and also would be something that I was like genuinely proud to put forward. So I'm really glad for that. And it felt really nice because this particular project I'm working on now has been one that she's been dealing with off and on for many years. And actually, I had a previous supervisor who did some data collection for this project. So it's really full circle and it feels more fulfilling, I think, than what I expected coming in, which made the transition a lot easier.
So it was really like you like kind of lean on your supervisor to help you out of that little rut, which is kind of what they're there for. And, you know, when you have a problem, they're like people that can just kind of pick you up and put you on the right track. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah. And having a good supervisor, I think, really helps with being able to communicate. Like it's good to be able to communicate with them in a way that makes sense for both of you. It's not just like they're giving you a project and saying, here, complete it. It's like a collaborative effort. I think it's really nice as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you mentioned that you're using data from a previous supervisor. Is that correct? Supervisor, just
someone I worked with in the past.
Okay. So like for your undergrad, did you come from like a biology background, or what did you do for your undergrad that was it applicable to what you're doing now? So I
studied I had a dual major in marine and aquatic biology and ecology and conservation science for my undergrad. And then I also studied sociology as my minor. And I went to school in the middle of Ohio, so it wasn't as marine focused as it is here, but it was still really applicable. I think I learned a lot of very good base skills in biology and ecology, and having a sociology background I think really matters when you study fisheries as well, like being able to see that essentially fisheries are really only important because we as humans put emphasis on these species that we're actively trying to protect or to consume, or they cause us ecological or economical benefits or whatever it may be. So I think I'm really glad that I have the background that I did, but I don't think that you would need that background to excel here either. I think you could definitely come into this program with a very diverse background. And there's a couple of people in our program that have come from like medical science backgrounds or even like accounting, things like that, and they've done really well. So it's definitely a good place to come if you're looking for a fresh start of something.
Accounting? I had no idea. We have some. That's so interesting.
I don't remember who it is, but I know that there is someone. I'm gonna have to ask.
That is great. Yeah, because the courses, the way that they're designed, was to sort of cast a wide net, and for people to all be like brought up to speed. So some of it can be repetitive to some people, whereas like other people it might be like brand new information. So wow, I had no idea there was someone in accounting.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy. Throughout all of this, and Kerri, you can answer this question too because you have a secondary side hustle that you do here at the Marine Institute. So how do you balance your life as a student here with your schoolwork and then just your outside work? And how do you stay sane when things maybe don't go well?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can answer that question. I have another like student job, which is just like it's just working at the gym here at MI, which is available like to all students. It's free with your tuition, I believe. And like honestly, just taking your lunch break or whatever you deem as your lunch break, taking your time between classes, before classes, and just like using that space to run out your energy and kind of refocus on the day. Or if you have like a stressful class, you don't really understand what's happening in that class or whatever it may be, like really just like recentering yourself in some kind of like active manner, I found like extremely helpful for me when I'm like stuck on projects and I'm like, I just need to go for a walk around the building, or I really just like want to go like hit a volleyball with some of my friends. Like I found that very helpful for me.
Can I just interject here? There's also ping pong in the gym.
Yeah.
And some of those little mini lunchtime tournaments, they can get pretty heated.
Yeah, so that's
like,
actually
people
something
have a lot of angst that they need to get out.
Yeah, that's something that we're starting up again starting in the fall. We actually will have like Monday through Thursday, we'll have 4 different types of intramurals that are like always running. Like every single one of those days, we'll have a different intramural. So it'll be like table tennis, ball hockey. There'll be like a soccer day, I think maybe. There's going to be like either you register with a team or you just drop in and like you're assigned to a team and you can just play for the hour, and then it's like a little mini tournament. That's something that we're trying to do. I think there's also going to be dodgeball, which was a big hit last
cool.
year.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are things to look forward to. I think
we did grad students versus undergrads last year, right?
Yeah, and like we're
fun.
hoping to make it like a more regular occurrence this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
What about you, Megan? What are some other ways that you've stayed sane? We talked briefly before we started recording about some of the things that you do on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
To get outside.
Yeah, I think staying active and having a good, healthy work-life balance is really important to establish when you're still in school. And I think as people in higher education, it can be really easy to sort of spend so much of your time and energy on your academics that you set yourself up for failure later on. And so having like hobbies and outside jobs, if you are looking to do something like that, is really important as well. But yeah, I like to try and have a couple different hobbies on the go at any given point in time. Beachcombing is one of them. I love a beachcomb, a little goblin hour on the beach. Recently, I've been finding a lot of golf balls snorkeling, which is fun. So I have a growing golf ball collection now. And I also recently joined with one of the other master students. We joined a community band. So we play flute and saxophone in the community band, which has been really fun. And it's just something to meet new people outside of your cohort or outside of this building and open up your community to the broader St. John's area and not so much of just MI, I think is really important too.
Mm-hmm. I can tell that Kerri has something that she wants to say too. Before I forget, I was going to say one thing. I saw this video online and I thought it was really interesting the way that she put it, which is when you're doing, whether you're doing your undergrad, your master's, PhD, or anything, or at any kind of school, and you put a lot of emphasis or a lot of your own self-worth on this one task that we're doing, when you do have things that come up that are maybe a bit too overwhelming, or maybe you feel a little bit more anxious, or maybe things aren't going well, it does take a big toll, or it can take a big toll on your mental health, because then everything that you've put your self-worth on kind of feels like it's crumbling, which it's not. That's important to say. But also having those hobbies that are outside of it helps to sort of ground you and remind you that it's not that serious and it'll be okay. And also that you can have these wins or these triumphs in other parts of your life. So if something else maybe isn't going as well, you can still say, oh, well, I swam like 20 laps in the pool today, or whatever it might be. That just popped in my head.
MI, also being a part of MUN, is open to all the MUN clubs and organizations as well. So like we've got MIGS, which is the Marine Institute Graduate Society, and MISU, but there's also like open to any other of the MUN clubs. So the Student Dive Club is a big one, but even non-fisheries related things, like any MI students are welcome to join those as well. So that would be a good way to meet people and do some other things too.
Yeah,
I really like your point about how your identity is kind of tied to schoolwork, because I definitely fall into that category, and I have for quite some time, because in my life I've had like 3 like separate points where like my identity was like just as an athlete, as a snowboarder, and then when I like realized that I couldn't do that for the rest of my life, I went through a huge identity crisis, and I was like, what am I going to do? Everything is bad. And then I was like, all right, so we're focused solely on like academics now. And like academics is like tied to my self-worth. If I do bad in school, then I'm not doing well in life in general, which is very untrue. And
is that still true?
No.
Okay.
And then so like
Okay.
now I'm kind of like I've transitioned to like this third like part of my life where I've realized, you know, like what do I like to do outside of those two main things? It's because when I lost snowboarding, I lost so much of like my self-identity and my identity to others. So it was really like, okay, what do I like doing? How do I achieve those things? How do I get there? And so when I was like first starting grad school here, I had a really terrible work-life balance because I was just like, well, I'm just gonna study all the time, and like what am I gonna do? I don't have very many hobbies because like I can't really snowboard here. You know, we've got like crazy winters, but there's no like really accessible hills, and so like, and I don't know very many people, so how do I like make friends? And if I don't have friends, well, I might as well just do work. And then like I slowly started like reaching out into the community and like, you know, join the climbing community here, which is fantastic, and join like the dive club and met all those people there, and then, you know, join like a martial arts thing. And now I have friends outside of that where I can like put down schoolwork, you know, at 5 p.m. and then go and do my activities. And it really like helps me separate and like recharge for school.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it's really interesting if you try and start something that you're not necessarily good at, because you remind yourself that it's like okay to be bad at something. Like it's so fine to be not good at something. And like if you're not good at like this one thing, like you'll start learning. And that's all that really matters.
You know what's funny? I went with our other friend Gabby, who's also been on the podcast. We went climbing. I haven't told her this yet. We went climbing on Sunday, and I thought, you know, this would be great. You know, I'm gonna go try it. It was not my thing. So it's also okay. It's also okay to find things and be like, whoa. But it was very humbling because I was very bad at it, and I thought, you know what, this might not be for me, but
that's so fun.
Yeah, it's okay. But I think putting yourself out there and trying is good.
Yeah.
And also meeting people and making friends that have different hobbies than you, I think is really good for that too. Like Gabby does a lot of things that I don't enjoy doing, and I do things that she doesn't enjoy doing, or etc. And I think that's important. Like building a community where everybody has their own individual interests can make your life a lot richer outside of academics.
Yeah,
and even if we go back to academics, like everyone here at MI like has a different background, and like you say we have all different hobbies. Well, that means that we all know different things, and like if someone's having an issue, whether it be with academics or like, you know, with their life in general, like there's so many different people that it's like you can go and talk to and ask for advice, or just like have a chat with to try and solve whatever problem you're having. And everyone here is so like open to helping out.
And another thing too is to mention, which is important to mention for all students at the school, is that we do have a counselor here that is available purely to talk to students about anything and everything under the sun that might be causing you any hardships. Her name is Tiffany Roberts, and she is available all the time. So you can always send her an email and ask to meet. And well, she's not available all the time. I shouldn't say that. She is available upon request. We want to talk a little bit about international students as well and what they might expect.
We have an international student that we wanted to get his opinion on things. He really said that like one of the first things that you should focus on, all of like your housing stuff sorted before you get here. And like having, if you have like a supervisor, if you have someone like some contact here, like have them help you out and find a place, because St. John's, like most of Canada that is a big city, we have a lot of fun housing issues in finding housing and finding good housing. And so we said, like, really just make sure that you can get your housing situation all settled before you get here so that you can come and like set up right away. The other thing that he really wanted to put an emphasis on was things about like immigration and all of your visas and stuff like that, and having that all filed like with the school.
Coming here, it took way longer than it should have, and I was coming from arguably the most accessible place to get a visa from. So I would definitely caution incoming international students that that process takes much longer than you think it will, and that there are a lot of bumps in the road, and you really have to advocate for yourself in order to get that process going smoothly. MI International does help with that a lot. And they're very, very helpful. They can point you in the right directions, but because it's the government and the school, and it can just be a little bureaucratic to work through sometimes. So that's definitely good advice for him, is making sure that you get all of that in order well before you think you're going to start.
Yeah, and also off of that, like I know that like at least last year, or I guess earlier this year, MI put on like an immigration tax clinic. And so like to help out with all of the more bureaucratic side of living in a new country, is they really helped out. They had it on for like a month for people to come in after hours to get all of your tax situation sorted. And I thought that was a pretty important thing that they put on. And then, yeah, just like the other things I think are kind of stuff that we've mentioned, is really try and go out of your way to make friends. It's hard enough moving to a new city, let alone a new country. And so trying to really make an effort and put yourself out there, build a network of people so you don't feel alone, and just make sure that, you know, you have people to fall back on.
I also wanted to add a couple other things too. So we do have resources a little bit more informal outside of orientation and things like that, where if you have questions or rapid fire things that you need to ask someone, you can also go to the Instagram. So we have the main Instagram, which is the marine.institute handle, but then we also have the student focused one, which is at mi.students. And we also have Facebook pages. We have the Marine Institute and our second Facebook page, which is the Marine Institute current students. There's also a Twitter, which is also the Marine Institute. But yeah, any questions can be asked at MI Students. It's a really helpful place also to go to. And yeah, when you're not sure.
What, like, let's say like 3 strategies would you give to like someone new that is starting? Either just in general, I think, yeah. What 3 things? And then, you know, if you have your own life experiences, then we can go into it.
Do you want to start first? I feel like you might have
I can
3.
give an example.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't necessarily have 3. I definitely have some ideas. But one really interesting thing that I would say is, 1, be patient with yourself. If you are like, man, I have to get all of this done, you're putting so much pressure on yourself that is just like, it's taking away from you actually wanting to start to do something. So I think be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself. You're not going to know everything right away, and that's so fine. And then another thing is, like, I have ADHD, and so what works for someone else might not necessarily work for me. And in fact, it usually does not work for me. My entire desk space here at MI is like very chaotic, but so calming to me. But if anyone else sat down there and like used what I used, they would be extremely overwhelmed. Like I always have something going on like my second monitor. I'm always listening to music at the same time, and I'm like writing or reading something. But I've talked to so many other people, and they're like, no, I can only like write to classical music, or I have to read in silence. And I'm like, if I have to do that, if I have to read in silence, I think I might go insane.
Yeah.
Like it's something that doesn't work for me. And like that's something I learned about myself. And so really like finding what works for you, even though it's not like the classical definition or classical image of what productivity looks like.
Yeah. I think my biggest maybe not a tip, but like a good mindset to have coming into any sort of higher education, like undergrad or higher, is that things will always happen exactly as they were meant to. So even though you might have a plan coming in, if that plan changes, like it's going to be okay. It's still going to work out. It might be a little bit of a hitch in the road into how you thought it was going to be, but you know, like sit with the feelings, know how things are going to change, and then move on and keep going. Because at the end of the day, like you're going to come out of this with a degree or with a diploma or whatever it may be. And a lot of times, like that's all that really matters. So being able to kind of see the big picture, but know that you're not really in control of the big picture every tiny detail of the way is really helpful of a mindset to have coming in.
I think that's great. Yeah. And I think also like to go along with that too is like being realistic about your timelines for things. And I have done this to myself so many times. You say, okay, I'm going to get this thing done. But there was, in no world would that even be feasible for even the most productive person out there. And I think that's also important because then when it doesn't happen with the deadline that you've set for something, it makes you feel like you've failed in some way, even though you haven't recognized that you've actually done a lot of progress to there. It's just, it's not humanly possible to do more or something. And also to your point, Megan, about it's also about like perseverance, right? And just continuing and knowing that this will end. There will be a time where you'll be walking across the stage and you'll be hearing the speeches at graduation, and it'll almost be like, oh, that was actually like that wasn't too bad. That was okay. I could, but then you need like your friends and family to be like, okay, you did a lot. Like you did a good job, sometimes, it's really hard.
I would also like to say, to your point about like scheduling, is the way that I like to schedule my time or like my work week. Like obviously I have like my little checklist of things that I would like to get done during the week, is I always plan for at least one sick day. Like during like a 5-day work week or whatever like your work week you decide it to be, which is usually pretty flexible as a grad student, plan for at least one sick day during the week, because that allows you to like have time of like, today I'm just not productive, I'm going to go home and read a book. Today I feel like not with it mentally, I'm going to go for a walk. And that doesn't really disrupt your timeline, and it doesn't really make you feel guilty for not like adhering to such a strict schedule that you've set out for yourself. Because I think also with grad students in general, like most of us are like pretty perfectionistic. And so it's like, I strayed away from the schedule, I'm, the worst person alive kind of thing. And it's just like, no, like you still have time. Everyone has time. Like if you're like really like pressed for completing on time, like just talk to administration. They're pretty flexible about it. Like they'll help you out. No one wants you to fail in school. Everyone is here to help you succeed.
I think that we should also just point out also the differences between being in your undergrad and also being a grad student, because as grad students, there's a different kind of stress. It's not to say that one is more stressful than the other. Actually, no, I do think an undergrad might be.
I think undergrad is significantly more stressful. Yes.
Yeah,
it's more to do.
I think in grad school too, like there's a lot more responsibility, because when you're not working, like you are your own boss in a lot of ways, and you're the one that's advancing your research. And so we do have to schedule in time where it's like we're just going to put our brain elsewhere. We're not going to use it for today or something like that. But when you're in your undergrad, it's much harder than to create a day, because you can just not show up to classes. But I think that's where having those extra hobbies and forcing yourself to maybe join the lunchtime dodgeball tournament or things like that you get to do, because
you're here anyways. So you might as well like take some time and de-stress. If you're gonna be at MI, like we have programs in place to help you guys out. So
and for undergrad and graduate, I think knowing how you work best is really important. And if that means that you're spending the first semester figuring it out, or if you're coming in and you already know, like for me, like I'm much better at being productive when I have a lot on my plate, because it forces me to manage my time better. So like having extra hobbies or planning time out of my day to go to the gym or whatever it may be, like may end up helping you in the long run to be more productive. And realizing that that's not like taking time for yourself outside of academics is not a failure. It's not like putting something off if it means that it's going to help you in the long run. I think that's like an important thing to remember, is that you're like a whole person, kind of going back to what we said about not putting all of your self-worth in academics too.
Yeah, and I don't know, undergrad is hard, and you just have to accept it. Like it's just one of those things that it's hard, and you've got to get through it.
You just have to get,
and you have to learn how to get through it yourself.
And you can get through it. My roommate is she's doing her doctorate in clinical psychology, And sometimes she gives me really good, like, cool tips for like cognitive behavioral therapy. I think, don't quote me on that. Hopefully the counselor isn't listening. But one thing that she told me recently that I thought was really helpful was I was coming to her and I was saying, look, I feel really overwhelmed with like all these different tasks and they're all different priorities. But how do you, like, sometimes a task was something so minuscule, like maybe it was like doing the dishes compared to like eating, compared to I need to finish this manuscript or I need to send off this email that's stressing me out or something like that. And she just said, okay, I think that maybe you need to schedule in some worry time. And so apparently it's a thing. So you lie down on the ground and you just let all of your worries, this might not work for you, Kerri, I feel like it might not work for you, but you just kind of, it's like you just get like bombed or like there's like an artillery of like negative, or maybe not negative thoughts, but things that are making you anxious or overwhelmed. And then when you come out of it, you just write them all down and you put them in a book and then it helps a lot. And I actually did try it and it does. It's very helpful because when you see afterwards all of the worries that you were having when you were laying on the floor, you realize that a lot of them are out of your control and that they're just kind of silly to begin with. So once you see them or recognize them, then you're like, oh, okay, that's actually fine. But
yeah, I think that's kind of what my mental health walks are.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
nice.
I like when I'm like feeling a little too overwhelmed and I'm like, this is kind of interfering with my productivity. Maybe I should just like not like guilt myself into working more. Maybe I'll just like go for like a 5-minute walk and then just like kind of let all of those things like you said bombard you and then you're like, oh, actually it's a nice day out. That's fine.
Yeah. And then you know what's so awesome about Newfoundland too is that probably on your walk you've maybe encountered someone that's just having a great day or is maybe like, I don't know, cutting the flowers in their garden or something, and it just like reminds you that there's things that outside of life, you know, or in like outside of school in life that are more important than
and like also
the task
just
at hand.
Like I love living here, especially in the summer, because it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go watch the whales today.
Yeah. And there's always someone experiencing it for the very first time and you kind of get to like relive what it was like to experience it for the very first time, which is really fun.
Yeah it's I enjoy it a lot.
Lean on your community, I think, is a good message.
Yeah. And like also just I think another thing that's really important, it's like the last point I want to bring up.
Good.
Like, ask questions. Ask questions all the time. There are stupid questions and it doesn't matter because someone will answer them anyways, and if they don't answer them, ask someone else.
Yeah. And especially when you're first starting, ask questions about like administration things or things like if you need to go find someone, there should be no reason that you need to be concerned about like doing forms or signing things or learning how to like pay for your tuition or things like that. There are people that have those answers and you don't need to spin any wheels or any of your precious brain time thinking about any of that stuff. So yeah, talk to the right people, including previous students or administration, the cashier's office, the registrar's office, all those people. Very helpful.
Yeah, and like everyone in the building will help you out. If they don't know the answer, they will most likely point you towards someone that knows the answer or knows someone else that knows the answer. Like everyone here kind of knows what's going on and
or knows who does.
And like everyone wants to help you out. That's like kind of the main thing of like Newfoundland is everyone is willing to pitch in and help out.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I wish I had this when I didn't go to orientation. I wish I had this podcast.
Yeah. This podcast is an ad for orientation.
Yes.
Yeah. You should go to orientation.
And orientation
When is orientation, do we know?
After this gets released.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I hope you all had so much fun at orientation. Wasn't it great? Did you meet friends?
Yeah, make sure if you are a grad student, make sure that you keep an eye out for the bar crawl every I think it's the end of September this time. At the beginning of every semester and at the end of every semester we do a bar crawl. So make sure that you keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah, it's a good way to meet people. And also, like, just get to know the community, get to know where everything is. So you get to know everything at MI during orientation, which you should have gone to. And then during the ball crawl, yeah, you'll understand the city a little bit more. And you'll understand all the hills and all the weird turns. everything that's going on down there.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Cute.
Well, this was awesome. Thanks, Megan, for joining the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Woo! Should we do the laugh track again? Wait.
Yes.
Yay! Here are also some rapid fire points that you should know if you're a Marine Institute student starting this year. If you need any assistance or accessibility services, you can contact Angela Rickert, who is the Student Affairs Officer for Accessibility Services, and her office is W3021. So you can go here or you can contact by email to set up accommodations and register with the Accessibility Center. Okay, another great point. At the Marine Institute, we have a cafeteria with great fish and chips on Fridays. And unfortunately, though, it is not part of the MUN residence meal plan. Meal cards are available in the cafeteria. In brackets here, I have is 5 hot meals for $50. Yeah, that's pretty good. Books. There's a point here about books. We recommend waiting until a student has gone to classes before purchasing textbooks. Oh, that's a good point, because otherwise you're going to end up paying too much money for textbooks. The transportation information, very important point also. The semester bus passes are available at the MI campus store. The bus stop is located on the first floor between the MI and the CNA campus. That's very important. Okay, and the last thing that I wanted to mention, there are important dates and events that happen all of the time, and you don't want to miss those. So important dates can be found in the MI diary, and the webpage is www.mi.mun.ca/calendar/current/general/academic diary/. Okay, I think that pretty much sums up all of the important rapid fire questions that the Student Services sent us. Here we go. Thank you to Megan for joining Kerri and I on today's episode. We have learned some very interesting ways of being a successful student here at the Marine Institute. So if you have questions about any of the topics or the points that we discussed today, you can send an email to wavecast@mi.mun.ca, and we can either connect you with the person who will have all of the answers, or we can try to answer them ourselves. All right, thank you, and we will see you in the next one.